All right, I am officially live and here for day one of the Vendoo Crosslisting Challenge. This is going to be a 3-day challenge. I'll be getting into all the details here in a second, but I'm so happy to be joining you, happy to be here live because this has been one of the big pieces of my business and being able to make money as a reseller. So I'm going to go ahead. I have a presentation all lined up, and then we're going to be going inside of Vendoo so I can show you inside of that as well. But I'd love to know before we get going, if you could drop it in the comments. Let me know, have you used Vendoo before? Have you tried it out? Are you just kind of looking into cross listing right now? So go ahead and let me know in the comments, and I would love to know, where everybody is at with that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get the screen share all set up and ready to go. Present, share screen. All right, so it should be sharing, and then I'm going to present. Okay, we are in business. So this is day one of the cross listing challenge. And a huge thank you to the sponsor of this challenge, Vendoo, for making this challenge possible and for me being able to get to hang out with you for the next few days. So if you don't yet have a Vendoo account, there's a link that I left in the comments as well as in the description for this live video. And you can go get set up with that link. You can get a free trial. You get like 5 listings every month to be able to set things up, be able to try it out. And then you also, with that link, you can get 25% off if and when you choose to go to a paid plan. So again, that link is in the comments as well as the description for this video. So I'm Meyer, and I am the founder of listingtofreedom.com and theempoweredreseller.com. And I'm super excited to be bringing you this challenge, like I mentioned. I've made over $100,000 net profit flipping used clothes as well as other items. And over the past few years, I've gotten to share my knowledge with people like you and helping people like you getting started with getting started with their reselling business, as well as helping, you grow your income with reselling. And if you're wondering, I still resell in addition to helping other people, and in addition to running my membership, teaching courses. But reselling continues to be, my main income stream is the one thing that I can go to that I, am basically guaranteed to make money with. It's the reason that I'm able to stay home with my kids. And again, I just love how predictable the income stream is from reselling and how quickly I can make money and how quickly those results really do come in as a reseller. So I get asked a lot about if I use Vendoo personally. So we'll clear that up, right off the bat, right from the get-go. Yes, Vendoo is the tool that I personally use. It's the one that I have been using. It's the only tool that I have been using for years now for my cross listing. And that would be kind of weird if I used something else and told you to use Vendoo. That would be weird. I totally would not be doing that. Vendoo is what I use as well as what I recommend. So we'll be talking more about how, I personally use Vendoo and how its role in my business has been changing, especially over the last few months. We'll be getting into more of that in tomorrow's session. So here's what you can expect from the challenge. So the challenge is 3 days. It is today, tomorrow, and then Thursday, all at 9 a.m. Pacific. There will be replays, at least for a short time, available. And then at the end of the challenge, at the end of each live session, I should say, I will be hanging out for a few more minutes to be able to answer any questions that you might have. So that it'll be about 30 minutes with some time for questions. You'll be learning how to use cross-listing in your reselling business, specifically using Vendoo. We'll be diving into cross-listing as well as unpacking many of the other features that Vendoo comes with, because it's way more than just a cross-lister, and we'll be getting into all of that. Plus, I'll be available, like I said, to answer any questions at the end of the presentation. It's kind of hard for me to jump back and forth between, comments and what's going on. So I'll save that for the end. You can save your questions for the end or pop them in right now as they come up, and I'll get to them at the end. And then at the end of each day's live session, you'll get a mini assignment. And otherwise, it wouldn't really be a challenge if I didn't give you some sort of task to do, right? So you'll get that mini assignment at the end of each lesson, at the end of each challenge day. So specifically during the challenge, you're going to learn if and when cross-listing could help you. You're going to learn the ins and outs of cross-listing or cross-posting. And we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details of, actually doing your cross-listing. You'll learn tips for speeding up your listing process, because time's money, right? So the less time that you can spend, the faster you can do things, the more you're going to make per hour. You'll also learn strategies to make more sales. So this is the schedule that I have planned for the challenge for our 3 days. So day 1, which is today, we're going to talk about getting started with cross-listing. This is going to be kind of an introduction to cross-listing, as well as some of the basics of cross-listing, like what it is, why we do it, how you do it. And then tomorrow, day 2, we'll talk about the quickest method for cross-listing and the easiest way to be able to speed up that process. For day 3, the final day, we'll be diving into Vendoo's other features, because really, again, it is way more than just a cross-lister. Yes, Vendoo is a cross-listing tool. It's known as a cross-lister, but it does so much more than just cross-listing. So we're going to talk about those other things on day 3. So we'll go ahead and jump right in here and talk about what cross-listing is. So at its very basic, cross-listing is just getting your items listed across multiple platforms. So you would have one item, and then instead of listing that one item to only one platform, you would have that same item listed in multiple places. So it could be sold on multiple places basically at the same time. And so what is the reason for that, and why do we cross-list? Well, for one thing, it gets your items in front of more buyers. So yes, there might be some overlap between some people that shop on, they might shop on eBay and they might shop on Poshmark, but there's going to be a lot of people out there who do the majority of their shopping on just the one platform. They might be really loyal to that certain platform. They might be really loyal to Facebook Marketplace or Poshmark or Mercari or eBay, and they're not really on those other platforms. So when you cross-list, you're able to get your items in front of different buyers. You're able to get your items in front of more buyers. And so that you have the opportunity to maximize your profits, aka, maximize the amount of money that you're getting for your items. And you're hoping with this that a sale will come in sooner before you have to start, lowering the price, before you have to start, sending crazy discounted offers, before you're having to put in a lot of work to get that item sold and, having to lower the price to make that sale. By getting more eyes on your item, you're going to be a lot more likely to sell it at the asking price, or, really close to the price that you originally listed the item at. And then the second reason, that the reason why we cross-list is because you can hopefully sell your items quicker. Now, the quicker you turn over your items, that's going to mean the quicker that you can reinvest that money back into more inventory, back into your business. And so that you can keep that cycle of, sourcing, listing, selling, keep that cycle turning over quicker. And a lot of people don't have endless amounts of storage. You might be, your room for inventory might be small. It might be the thing that's limiting you in your business from making more because you just don't have that space. And so this is one of the ways, if you're able to get your items to sell quicker, you can better use the space that you have, and you can keep that inventory turning over, given that space that you have. All right, so who is cross-listing for and who can it help? So first up, if you're brand new to reselling, if you're brand new to selling online and you've never listed an item before, you've never posted an item to any platform, then cross-listing probably isn't for you. So I'd recommend first, getting started, getting the hang of things on at least one platform. Like get your pictures down, get your creating a listing down before you go and complicate things. So Vendoo is pretty easy to use. It's not super complicated, but I would rather have you, get started on a platform and figure that out before you, introduce anything extra. But if you've been selling for a while and you're feeling comfortable with creating listings, you're feeling comfortable with the whole process of taking pictures and shipping and all of that and everything that goes into running a reselling business and selling online, then cross-listing can definitely help you. And where I see where it especially helps people is for sellers who have maybe started out on what I call an easy platform. So they've gone to a platform that's really super user-friendly. The app, works wonderfully. It's easy to get pictures listed. Maybe it's easy to ship items. And so they start out on these easy platforms, and I'll just come out and say what they are so you're not like going, what are these? But Mercari and Poshmark are the platforms where I see a lot of sellers, new sellers start out on because it is really easy. Poshmark, especially when it comes to shipping, is super easy. And so a lot of people gravitate to that. New sellers gravitate toward that because it is so easy. And so if you're on one of these, easy platforms, you're going to get to a point where you're going to want to start listing on eBay if you aren't already. And so that's, again, eBay, if you have not heard me say this before, eBay is where the majority of my sales come from. I do have sales across multiple platforms, but that does the majority of my sales. So just today, when we get done with the call, I'll be shipping items. And I think, before I got on this live, I had 3 on eBay, and then I have 2 on Poshmark. So that, that is probably a little bit more on Poshmark than what I normally have. We'll be talking a little bit more about, how I did that. But eBay does the majority of my sales for me. So I consider it really important that if you're not listing on eBay, if you're one of these sellers who has gone with one of these easier platforms, then in that case, that I would really, highly, highly recommend cross-listing for you. And then who else can cross-listing help? So anyone who wants to make sales faster, make more money per item like we talked about, and anyone short on space. All right, so let's talk for a minute about why Vendoo. So in the old days, I'm going to sound really old here. Back in the olden days, when I first started, there wasn't any sort of cross-listing tool out there. If you wanted to be able to sell on multiple platforms and you wanted to list that one item in multiple places, you had to open up, a new browser window for each platform that you wanted to sell on. And Poshmark did exist then. So if you wanted to list on Poshmark, you'd open up a window for Poshmark. You'd have another window open for eBay, wherever else you were listing. And then you'd have to upload the pictures to each one, enter the description for each one, enter the title for each one. And so it was really all manual, and it took, way more time than it was actually worth. And so at that point, I was only selling on one platform because it just, wasn't worth the time at that point in time. So one day, my mentor, you may have heard me talk about my mentor. I would not be here without her. I did not figure out all of this reselling stuff on my own. There's no way I could have done it on my own. I had, somebody to guide me, lead me the way. She came back. She came home. She had been from eBay Open. And she's like, you never believe it. There's this new thing called Vendoo. And that was the first that I had heard about it. And they were at that point, they were in beta mode, which is basically, they had people testing it out, figuring out all the bugs, like what things they needed to improve. So she's like, you need to sign up for this. So I went and signed up for Vendoo. That's how I initially heard about this. This was ages ago. And I signed up for that beta version and started testing it out. So one of the things that really jumped out to me right away was that these were resellers themselves, I should say, running Vendoo. It wasn't just some, business guru who thought, oh, I can help resellers. These were resellers themselves who knew the business. They knew how it worked. So they really got me. They got other resellers and what we needed out of a platform like that. And so during the beta, it was really cool because we were able to send in recommendations and feedback. You still are, but during the beta especially, it's like, we need to know so we can get this live. And they take that feedback and recommendations, you send it in, and then a few days later, it's like, oh, they added that feature. And it was really cool to see, but that beta testing is gone, but the same spirit of service, the same improvement continues with serving resellers and being able and listening to our needs. So they really take into account the features that we're wanting, the features that, we're really needing, and then doing their best to incorporate that. One quick example of this is the auto sales detect. So for a long time, several years, the technology just really hasn't been there between Vendoo being able to communicate with the other platforms and find out when an item's sold. So you would have to manually come in and mark it. The item is sold, so it doesn't sell across multiple platforms. We'll be talking more about this, but I just want to give you one example of this. And so that was a feature that a lot of people were begging for, but the technology just wasn't there. Well, that all changed a few months ago. I think it was last year. And they're now able to do that and actually detect when sales happen so that you don't sell the item multiple times. And it is amazing, but it's just, one little example of a feature that was really wanted and a feature that was really needed, and they made that happen. Now there's other cross-listing tools out there. There's a bunch on the market, and I get asked a lot about these other tools and about, what I think of them. And I'm not going to, name names here. I don't want to slam anybody, but really none of them compare to Vendoo and what, even the features that are available with Vendoo, as well as that customer service. All right, so some basics with Vendoo. To get started with Vendoo, you can use that link in the description or in the comments. That'll get you started with a free version, or if you're like, hey, I want to go for the paid version right now, you can totally do that too. But the free version does get you 5 listings a month, which obviously 5 isn't going to be probably enough to really make a business out of it if you're at that point of, wanting to make a business. But it's a good way to jump in, to be able to get your accounts connected and to try out all the features. So with that free version, you also get access to the add-ons, which we're going to talk about here in a second. But you're probably, you are probably at some point going to want to list more than 5 items a month, right? And so I have these on the screen here for you of the current pricings, price levels that Vendoo has. And they're all based on how many items that you are going to be listing. So that'll be how many new items you are creating, how many new listings you're creating, or how many listings you are importing. So let's say that let's say it's your first month and you're saying, hey, I'm going to bring all of my inventory in. I've got 200 items, but I normally only list 50 items a month. You could start out with the plan that's going to cover you to bring in your the number of items that you have. So that would be the plus plan for 250 items. You could start out with that, get all your listings transferred in during that month. And because you only list, say 50 items a month, then you could drop down to a lower plan. So hopefully that makes sense. It's not like how many listings you have active. It's how many you're bringing into the system new each month. So you could, in that case, in the example that I gave you with listing 50 items, you could drop down to the simple plan for like $19.99 a month. Again, you're not locked into any plan. So there is like a lot of flexibility built into this. You're free to move around. If you know that you're going to be listing more, you can move up to a bigger plan. You're not like locked in with a contract or for a year, and you can drop back down. So maybe, you know, for you, maybe summer's coming up and you're going, okay, I'm not going to be listing a lot. Maybe you have kids home, or maybe you're going to be traveling a lot. You could start out with that bigger plan, and then when summer, you know, gets here, you could drop down to one of the lower plans to save yourself some money during that, you know, say June, July, August, and then bump back up in the fall when you start listing more again. So hopefully you can understand like how flexible this is. There's also an option to say, you know, let's say you got the starter plan for 25 items a month, and then you're getting to the end of the month and you're like, oh, I want to list another 10 items or 20 items. You can pay like a little extra to be able to get those items just for that month. The other thing here with the pricing is these are the monthly rates. So with the monthly, you're not locked into any, you know, contract. You can move around from plan to plan. But if you know, like you consistently list a certain amount a month, they do have a yearly plan. And with that, you know, you are locked in for the year, but there is quite a bit of savings when you know, sign up for the year instead. So you could always, you know, if you're like, you're not on Vendoo yet, you could do the month. And then at some point when you're like, okay, I really like this, this is really helping, switch to the year. And then, you know, be able to save that money. All right, so with the free version of the, you know, 5 listings a month, you're going to automatically have access to all of the add-ons. These are the add-ons that Vendoo has available. Otherwise, when you move to a paid plan, you do need to select which add-ons that you would like to have. And you can think of these add-ons kind of like your superpowers. So there's 3 add-ons, and they're currently about $5 a month each. Or you can say, hey, you know, just give me all of them for $12 a month. So what are all these add-ons, and, you know, which ones should you get? So first, there's the importing add-on, and this one allows you to be able to bring in your current listings. And this one, you know, it's really important if you're new and you're wanting to bring in your existing listings. This is an add-on that you're definitely going to want to use. But you theoretically could get this add-on and then bring in all of your listings, and then, you know, get rid of that add-on. If you switch to listing inside of Vendoo. We're going to be talking more about that actual process tomorrow of listing inside of Vendoo. So that is a possibility to just, you know, pay for that add-on for the 1 month to bring in your current listings and then get rid of it. The next one is the all marketplaces add-on. So this one unlocks all of the available marketplaces. There's about 10, don't quote me on that exact number, different marketplaces that Vendoo connects with. If you don't have this all marketplaces add-on, then you're limited to 3 platforms, 3 marketplaces. So 3 is probably enough for most people. 3 is what I use. But if you're wanting to list on more than 3 platforms, then you'll need this add-on. One side note here with this is I get asked quite a bit of, okay, so Vendoo doesn't work with this certain platform. Let's say you sell at a vendor market or you sell in person. That's not going to connect to Vendoo, right? So is there a way to be able to still manage your inventory if it sells somewhere else? And the answer is yes. So you would just come in, mark that item as sold, and you can put in that it's sold in person, or you can put in that it's sold on, you know, maybe a platform that isn't connected directly to Vendoo. So yes, the answer is yes on that, it will totally manage all of your inventory needs. That'll be day 3. We will be going into that. The next add-on, the third add-on and the final add-on, is the relist and delist add-on. And so to me, this is the best add-on of the 3. We're going to be talking more about this add-on on day 3. So just hang on for that. But if I had to pick, one of these add-ons, that would be, the one add-on that I would say, yes, you need this add-on. So that would be the one. Again, with the free version of Vendoo, with those 5 free listings a month, you do get those add-ons. So you don't have to, go and pay extra to be able to try out those capabilities. So you'll choose your plan. So you'll choose one of the plans that we showed, and then your add-ons. And once you've done that, you're going to want to connect your seller accounts. So that is the next, kind of step of getting started with Vendoo. So you'll go to your account and then select marketplace connections. And so this is where you're going to see all of the available marketplaces. And what you're going to do is you're going to basically sign in to all of the accounts that you want to connect in another tab. So you're going to sign in, like if you want to connect eBay, you're going to sign into eBay. If you want to connect Poshmark, you're going to sign directly into Poshmark. You're not putting your login information into Vendoo. Vendoo doesn't have your login information. They're just connecting via your browser. You're probably also going to need to install what's called an extension. And this is an extension for your browser. And this allows Vendoo to be able to connect, to be able to communicate into those other accounts, but they don't have your login information. Now, the extension is probably the, the most like, whoa, what is that? I'm not a tech person, but they do walk you through, getting that installed. And it is, really pretty easy to get that installed. Once it's installed, it's there and you don't really have to worry about it again. So this is what the main page of Vendoo looks like. We're going to be hopping off this presentation here in a second so I can show you inside of Vendoo. But this is what it looks like, where you have all of your listings. And if you're just, if you just barely got your account set up, you're not going to have anything here, right? You're not going to have your inventory. Even if you connected your marketplaces, you haven't yet brought your inventory into Vendoo. So this is going to be blank for you. This is just here because, I use it. I have inventory in Vendoo. So this next part is, again, importing is really important if you want to be able to bring in your existing listings. So most people who start out with Vendoo, they're already resellers. They already have listings out on a marketplace or two. And so you can bring those in by going to the import page. You'll tell it, okay, I want to import my listings from Poshmark, or I want to import my listings from Vendoo, and it will sync those. So it'll bring in all that current information, and you can select which of those listings that you actually want to bring into Vendoo. So I'm going to show you this here in a second, because it is, if you haven't seen it, it can be a little bit like, I don't get it. It's probably easier to show you. But what this does, it's going to bring in the pictures that you already have. It's going to bring in the description you already have. It's going to bring in the title so that you're not having to go and re-enter those. So this is a pair of jeans that I imported last night from eBay. So you'll see that there's an icon where it shows that it is listed on eBay because I imported it from there, but there's not icons for the other platforms because I haven't yet cross-listed it. There's also a status bar at the right hand side where it'll show you, that the import has been complete. This was just one item because I was just getting this set up as a test to show you today. But otherwise, if I'm importing, say, 100 items at a time, then this would be kind of the status bar, so you can see how it's doing as it goes along and when it finishes. So again, just because you've imported a listing doesn't mean that it's, cross-listed out everywhere, that it's, available on all the platforms. So the user interface to be able to get a listing, and I'm going to walk you through this, but I'm just going to give you the overview here, and then we're going to jump off and I'll actually show you. But the user interface is really pretty well designed. And so you're going to start out at the top and then work your way down is kind of how this works. So the very top form is the Vendoo form. So this was kind of the biggest thing for me, the biggest learning curve piece of using Vendoo, is that there's actual like a Vendoo listing. And so what this is you're going to have your details in this form. you save, and then that's going to populate all of the marketplace's forms for you so that you don't have to re-enter that. So if you've imported your listing, it already has the titles, it already has the pictures. You're from this Vendoo form, you're just going to save, and then you're going to work your way down the list of marketplaces. So I've got a whole bunch in the list here because at some point I connected them, although I don't list to them. So the ones that I list to are eBay, Poshmark, Mercari. This particular item, and this is, I'm going to show you this live right now on the call, but I will, I already have it listed to eBay. And then the next one that I would go to is Poshmark. I would fill out that form. It's pretty much almost entirely filled out. There's probably like one thing, the size that I'll need to enter, and then I can hit list. And then I'll go on to Mercari. Same thing. I'll probably have to put in the size and then the shipping for Mercari and hit list. So within a matter of seconds, it'll be listed. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can exit out of here, and we'll hop on over to Vendoo. So this is that pair of jeans that I had pulled up. And this is the Vendoo's form. So you're going to see that it shows not saved. And so you can see that it brought in the title because I imported it from eBay. So it brought that title in from eBay. It brought in all of my description. I had already entered measurements, so those are already there. It brought in the brand, it brought in the condition, it brought in my SKU, the color, all of that stuff. So I'm not having to enter anything. I have not touched this at all. I literally just imported it last night so that it was all set up and ready to go for you. It has the size, it has the weight that I had already entered, it has the price of the item that I had on eBay. So literally from this page, all I have to do is click save. You'll see that, saved. And then, like I said, it's already on eBay. So the next place I'm going to go is Poshmark. This is the Poshmark form. So it has already, all of the details all entered. So the only thing that I'm going to need to change, it looks like the style of the item didn't come in quite right. So that looks like to me that it's a wide leg or flared leg, and it has it marked as skinny. So I'm just going to switch that to flare and wide leg. And then it was, I believe, an extra large. Yes. Oops. So some of these, depending on the category, can be a little bit tricky. They're usually pretty straightforward. So most jeans, are a certain size, like they're a size 6. They're not just large. So I think that's probably the issue here. So I'm just going to enter custom. And then I have these as default. So you're going to notice that there's a little like save floppy disk, if you know what a floppy disk is. And you can save that as like kind of a standard preset. That's what I have saved for my original price. I just have pretty much $80 on everything on Poshmark. That listing price is automatically going to round it because Vendoo knows that Poshmark only takes whole dollar prices. So once I got that, the size and the type of the jean, it was literally like, 2 clicks, click list. While that's listing, I can go ahead and pop on over to the Mercari form, and I'm going to do the same. So it's brought the brand in, the condition, color, all of that good stuff. So same thing here. I'm going to need to switch the type of jean. So we're going to go with, I think there's a wide leg down here. So switch that to wide leg. And then see this one, Mercari always likes the size of the waist. So we'll go 38 inches. And then I need to choose my shipping label, that one, and then list. So again, it's like 2 things. It's the size, I guess 3 things because I had the shipping. So it was the size, the type of the jean. Most of the time you don't have to change that. It's just certain categories where it's going to, there might be you might run into some issues with that. So I'm going to go ahead and switch back into this and we can finish up. So hopefully that gave you an idea of, just how easy it is. That took quite a bit longer because I'm talking you through it. But it does take probably, maybe 30 seconds to be able to get it over to those other both of those other platforms, at the same time. So for today's challenge, today's like mini assignment that I want to give you to be able to take away, some task to complete is I've laid this out into some different levels because we do have people who are going to be participating, who maybe haven't started, who are maybe a little bit further along. So I have some different tasks for you depending on what level. You can also pick and choose of, okay, this one, I think I could do that. So if you're brand new, if you're, newbie level, go ahead and get your Vendoo account set up. You don't need to go in and select a paid plan. That free plan is enough for you to be able to get your account created and to be able to go ahead and connect your seller accounts. So assuming that you have a seller account on eBay, that you have a seller account on Poshmark, go ahead and get those accounts connected. And then if you're already a little bit, maybe farther along, you're ready to go, or maybe you're a newbie and you're like, okay, I can do more than that. Then the next level one then would be to import your existing listings. So you just click that import tab and select what platform that you want to import from. Maybe you have your listings on Poshmark and you want to import them. Say, hey, Poshmark, import my listings from Poshmark. And go ahead and get those synced, get those imported so that they're ready to go. And if you're like, hey, I'm chomping at the bit to get things cross-listed, then go ahead and see about cross-listing, see about getting those listings out to other platforms. Just like what I just showed you. All right, so coming up tomorrow, we covered a lot today, but hopefully you got clear on, if cross-listing can work for you and what the next step is to help you be able to grow your business with cross-listing. Coming up tomorrow, we are going to be diving a little bit deeper. Today was just kind of a quick overview. I went through that pretty quickly of creating a listing. So we'll be diving into a little bit more of the nitty-gritty details of actually creating your listings, filling out those forms, as well as creating the listings right inside of Vendoo. So what I showed you today, that was a listing that had already been created in eBay and it was imported. So tomorrow I'll show you how to actually create your listings inside of Vendoo. This is what I have been doing for the past few months. I took longer to switch than I should have, but I've been, importing for so long, and it was just, it's one of those things of having to learn something new. So we'll be talking about that and how, this has changed my business, how it's helped me, how it's been able to, in the long run, be able to save me more time. So I'm going to go ahead and hop off of the screen share, and then I will check and see if there's any comments. And otherwise, I will see you back here tomorrow for day 2 of the challenge. And this is always a little tricky. Let me out. Okay. All right, this is a great question. So if we import our current listings, does it go against our count for the month? So the answer to that would be yes. So that count for the month is any new listings that you're bringing in. So that's why I would recommend, if you've got a lot of listings, like maybe when I first, when I was first getting going, I had a lot of listings. So I had, a few hundred. So I would do that maximum, or what the minimum plan is to be able to bring in all of your listings. And then my kind of main task for that month was to get those listings imported, so I wasn't having to pay for a higher level plan than what I needed. So hopefully that makes sense. So if you've got 300 listings, you could pay for that plan that's going to be able to allow you to bring those 300 listings in. You can import them. Once you import them, that counts. You can always spend, if you need longer time, if you need longer than a month, those listings are already in there. And then you can use that extra time, that longer time frame, to actually go and get them cross-listed out to those other platforms. It's just that import that's going to start counting against your total. So that's why I say, hey, go for the bigger plan, pay for that 1 month. And then let's say you have the 300 and then normally you're only listing 25, or normally you're listing 100. Then you could drop back down to the lower plan. So it's super, super flexible like that. Another example of this. So my my fourth baby was born. She's actually going to be 2 this summer. But before, I went to go have her, I knew that I wasn't going to be listing things after she was born, at least for the first, couple months. And so then I dropped my plan down to the lowest level so that I was still able to use some of the other Vendoo features of managing my inventory that we're going to be talking about, using the delist, relist, that sort of thing. But I wasn't going to be creating new listings. And so I just dropped it down to the lower plan. To be able to save myself money during those months that I wasn't going to be listing. All right. Is there anything else? Otherwise, I will see you back here tomorrow. I'm going to hang on just for a second because I know typing can sometimes take a little bit. But yeah, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you back here tomorrow where I'm going to be showing you how to actually go in and create your listing inside of Vendoo. So this is something that I delayed longer than I should have. I wish I would have started it sooner. It has taken me some time to learn. I'm still learning, but I will be back here tomorrow to show you that process and how that can work, how that can help your business and help you get more done in less time. All right, have a fabulous rest of your day. Again, thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you back here tomorrow.